The late Ed Tweed bolstered an entire industry, and in doing so created a great name for Scottsdale. His name is synonymous with Arabian horses, and during his 35 years in Scottsdale, he and his horses captivated horse lovers and breeders around the world. Despite his worldwide acclaim, he never lost his folksy nature or strong Midwest values, and never missed an opportunity to promote Scottsdale, its beauty, and its Arabian horse industry. Born in Portage, Wisconsin, Ed Tweed grew up in the Chicago area where he studied to be an architect. In 1917, he met and married his life partner, Ruth. They had 2 children, Bruce and Sally. During the 1920s, he was a partner in the Kansas City architectural firm that designed ornate bank interiors popular in that era. But the massive bank failures during the Great Depression sent his career in a different direction. The Tweeds rented space in one of the banks he had designed in Independence, Missouri, and opened an ice cream parlor and tea room. Future President Harry S. Truman was a customer. In the mid-1930s, Tweed bought a failing refrigeration company in Chicago and became its president, making it a success. Acting on his childhood dreams in Wisconsin, he also bought a farm in Lake Forest, Illinois, and began raising livestock. He named the farm by combining the names of his children, Brusali. Like many other post-World War II Scottsdale transplants, the middle-aged Tweeds moved to Scottsdale in 1949. They initially bought land and 2 Arabian horses from Merle Cheney, then bought a 160-acre plot north of town at what is now east of Hayden Road and north of Shea Boulevard. Tweed put his architectural skills to work and designed a beautiful, sprawling Spanish colonial ranch house, stables, and outbuildings, again naming it in honor of his children, Brusali Ranch. He began to raise both Ayrshire dairy cows and Arabian horses. In 1953, Tweed hosted the first major horse event at Brusali Ranch. After a ride in the McDowell Mountains with his fellow members of the Scottsdale Sheriff's Posse, he invited them and other guests back to his place for a horse exhibition, comedy acts, and a mock horse auction. In 1954, the International Arabian Horse Association urged Tweed to help start the first Arizona Arabian Horse Association. He rounded up 20 interested parties at the Westward Ho, and by night's end was the group's first president. The following year, Tweed, along with Arabian owners Mrs. Philip Wrigley and Ann and Fowler McCormick, sponsored the first all-Arabian horse show, staged at the Wrigley's Biltmore Resort. The next year, 1956, the all-Arabian show was moved to Scottsdale, where it's been held ever since. Tweed was such an ethical man that during the years he served as the association's president, he refused to enter any of his champion Arabians, like his beloved Scourge, in the show. He concentrated on hospitality instead, hosting a post-show cookout for the vendors and participants at Brusali Ranch, usually catered by his favorite restaurant, Mag's Ham Bun. In 1963, Tweed made history when he flew 14 Polish Arabians via Boeing 707 from Warsaw to New York, then trucked them to Scottsdale. Brusali Ranch quickly earned the nickname Little Poland and the reputation for siring exceptional Arabian bloodlines. 2 years later, Tweed and Brusali achieved its big year in the show ring. Tweed sent 4 Arabians on a 3-month non-stop tour from Texas to Canada and almost coast to coast in the United States to participate in every possible horse show. The horses collected over 300 ribbons and more than 100 trophies, bringing great recognition to Scottsdale as the home base of his champions. In 1967, Tweed was ready to add another element to Scottsdale's growing reputation as an Arabian horse center. He realized that all Arabian horse show attendees not only wanted to see Arabians, but buy them. He staged the first Arabian auction at Brusali Ranch, producing it in grand and memorable style. The quintessential Arabian promoter, Tweed always opened his doors at Brusali Ranch to visitors. The Black Stallion author Walter Farley, Western movie stars, and Arabian breeders from around the globe gathered at Brusali. Tweed often entertained them by singing and playing his guitar or organ in his own country western style. He also ensured that Brusali Arabians took part in Parada del Sol parades, tourism promotions, and even ribbon cuttings around town. After Ruth Tweed died in 1971, Ed looked toward retirement and turned the operation of Brusali Ranch over to his granddaughter, Shelley Groom. Ed died at the age of 90 in 1983. Much of his ranch was sold for development, leaving only the main house and a few of the surrounding structures. In the mid-1990s, daughter Sally Groom donated what remained of Brusali Ranch. the beautifully designed and intact ranch house to Mayo Clinic, Scottsdale. The Arizona Transplant House opened there in July 1999 as homey, peaceful accommodations for pre- and post-operative Mayo Clinic, Scottsdale transplant patients and their families, thus continuing the Tweed tradition of offering warm hospitality in Scottsdale. After his death, it was written that he'd contributed greatly to the appreciation and the usefulness of the Polish-Arabian bloodlines, pioneered Arabian racing in its early uncertain years, provided sound, well-conformed Arabians to other breeders, helped to found one of the most important all-Arabian shows in the world, and perhaps most significantly overall, helped to make the words Scottsdale and hospitality almost inseparable.